Football. We're here again this week. We're going to be doing a single QB PPR uh, Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft. Who do we have here tonight?
Zach Kurtz, head writer for fantasy football for the Truth Serum.
And I am Jimmy, Jets by Jimmy, also Truth Serum writer, just basic NFL coverage.
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get things started. We got Seth with the first pick here, and here we go. I'll get the share screen up.
That's David, actually. It's the heavier.
Is it?
Yeah.
I just don't know sometimes with all the like nicknames in this. So now I understand why Joey hates nicknames.
We got our TSF 144 background up there. We're going to kick that off soon. It's going to be a 144 team fantasy football tournament.
Yeah, so that tournament's going to be bomb ass, just like it was last year. Go from 100 to 144, and whoever's in my league look forward to getting their ass kicked by me. So
you act like you won last year.
Yeah, I came close.
All right, who are you thinking about going for, Jimmy, with Najee off the board?
I mean, you have to in Dynasty, man. You got to get your quarterback. However, I know this is going to be, and honestly, this is not a homer move. I promise you.
No, it is.
It's not. It's not. But where is he? I am.
Keep scrolling.
I am chasing Zach Wilson. And the reason for that is because I don't see Jacksonville as a solid organization yet. Trevor Lawrence is a better quarterback than Zach Wilson, but I think the Jets are actually trending in a better direction faster than the Jacksonville Jaguars are.
Sure enough.
This guy's been reading all my comments. Yeah, I really love what the Jets did in their draft this year by getting the offensive linemen, getting the weapons. They really did do Zach Wilson a good service by giving him a cast to build around.
From a draft perspective, from an NFL analyst standpoint, I think the back half of the Jets draft was actually the highlights. Obviously, it's great to get Zach Wilson. It's great to get Elijah Vera Tucker. It's great to get Elijah Moore. It's great to get Michael Carter. But I think the Jets are moving towards more of everybody thinks the 4-3, but I think they're moving more towards a 4-2-5 hybrid. And with all of the hybrid players, safeties / linebackers that they picked up in the back half of the draft, I really think that we're going to have one of the fastest defenses in the NFL. And like Robert Saleh says, speed builds pressure and pressure bursts pipes. So I'm loving it.
I hate to say it, but the Jets had a very good draft. Very solid.
You guys got a diamond in the rough with Mac Jones. I really thought he was going to go number 3.
Me too. I had him going 3 as well.
Yeah, I think I had him 3 going 3 as well. I ended up winning our mock draft challenge that we did. If I would have had those two switched around, where they win or whatever, I probably would have had 11 out of that 32.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was a crusher. You nailing both the Ravens picks at the end like that.
I know. Well, you're probably gonna snipe me here, so I ain't gonna give you no ideas.
I'll try.
Well, that made it easy for me.
You said earlier, QBs keep them young, and I just get them Travis to get Fields.
Yeah, with it being a single quarterback league, though, I'm going to take the rusher here, and I think Williams is going to have a hell of a career. I got him all over the place, and I think 3 out of my 4 dynasty leagues.
Well, I think Javonte Williams got a great landing spot in Denver.
Yeah, I don't see Melvin Gordon really holding on to that. I mean, it's more like a 1 year at most kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I think Williams, he's going to be a league winner in the back half of the season for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I see it as like a mid-season transition type thing.
Yeah, he'll definitely start getting a bigger workload as the season goes on.
So I'm just going to pause the draft for a second. You can think about who you want to pick. Anything you guys kind of really shocked you here that, what you guys maybe have done different?
Well, I wouldn't have taken Wilson second.
Like I said, man, the method to that is I had Zach Wilson as pre-draft. I had Zach Wilson as QB1B. I think he did a lot to show that he can be right up there. I think his decision making proved to be a lot better than Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence has a lot of the, he's got the competition and everything like that. But the speed on the decision making and the rebound ability, I think that Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson has the edge. And I just think that with the direction that the organizations are going, I think you're gonna have more sooner with Zach Wilson than you will with Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence very well may prove to be the better quarterback in the long run, but that organization's holding him back right now.
Yeah, so as far as, picks that, I like or didn't like, I thought that the Bateman pick was a good pick. I think he'll be an immediate contributor. I think getting him at, that spot, with Rondale Moore, Marshall and stuff left, I like that pick a lot.
Trey Lance in round 2 is actually a good spot. It was actually a good pick as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might not get a whole lot of value out of him in 2021, but Lance is most definitely the guy moving forward in San Francisco. Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be there much longer if Lance doesn't take the job from him, halfway through the year. But Lance in the second round is actually a steal.
All right, I'll go ahead and I really like Trey Lance. I could really see him going next year. I could see him kind of being that real breakout candidate coming. They got the weapons and the offensive line and the defense to kind of support him. I had told Mike previously that whoever got drafted by San Francisco would probably be my QB1 coming out of the draft. So,
yeah, that's the most upside I think for the rookie quarterbacks is being in San Francisco, especially with the trade ups. I mean, it's a solid team.
Yeah, I just took Fields over Lance just so Travis wouldn't be able to get him.
Fields can be really good. Like I worry, and it's not one of those situations where I don't blame the school for the player, but that Ohio State offense is just so collegey, and it's that one read, throw it or run, and I don't see they're going to have to really work with Fields to get him out of that. And the fact of the matter is you can't point to any Ohio State quarterback that has ever been a top 10 quarterback on a consistent basis in the NFL.
At the same time, though, I think just to butt in here, at the same time, though, I think that Matt Nagy, I think he fits what Fields is going to be able to do. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're kind of like the perfect fit for each other. I feel like that's what the kind of quarterback that the Bears were looking for. You can't be any worse than Nick Foles or Mitch Trubisky.
No, he's definitely not. And if there's any quarterback, and I've been on record saying this, if there's any Ohio State quarterback that can break that stigma of Ohio State quarterbacks, it's definitely Justin Fields. It's just going to be tough, and like the NFL, you simply can't run a one-read offense. It doesn't work. You may have a great year. Running quarterbacks, they burn real bright, but they fade out fast. So,
well, there's kind of like a stigma too about Justin Fields, and that he is a running quarterback just because he can run a 4.34 or whatever he ran. I think that's what he ran. But he's not truly a run-first quarterback. He's looking to throw the ball at all times. He's always got his head up. He's always looking for the throw. That's why a lot of people, they're really excited about the other receivers in this offense this year too.
It's going to be interesting to see how that works out with Allen Robinson. Does Allen Robinson still want to be there? Is that going to be kind of a locker room issue, or?
I don't know if it's necessarily a locker room issue. I feel like I feel like they've already soured things to Allen Robinson, at least from an organizational standpoint. But I feel like from a QB standpoint, I don't know how you can't be excited to have Justin Fields as your quarterback if you're Allen Robinson.
Yeah. I mean, you're the number one guy. Well, you're the number one receiver. So I totally get that part.
I don't want to turn this into a Bears podcast.
So at this point, with Pitts off the board, I really like Pat Freiermuth here late in the second round. In Pittsburgh, I think that he is going to be a solid weapon. He's probably the best blocking tight end in that draft, but he's also one of the top receiving tight ends in that draft as well. So Pat Freiermuth, I think, is going to really shine in Pittsburgh, and I think they're going to use him quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pause it again here quick, but yeah, speaking of Pat Freiermuth, the only thing that worries me about a lot of these Pittsburgh players and is the offensive line. You know, that they didn't do anything to improve their offensive line, which obviously is going to affect Najee Harris too, but we've seen running backs overcome that as well. But you know, like Pat Freiermuth, like his future there, like the quarterback situation isn't the best, but I feel like if there's like one of those tight ends that's going to take a couple of years to develop and, you know, be, you know, like that, I won't go so far as to say like Darren Waller, but I'll go ahead and say like a Tyler Higbee type in an offense. I feel like he's like the mold to that. That's my comparison for him.
Yeah.
I really like that Nico Collins pick there, and then he stacked it too with Davis Mills. If Davis Mills was the starter at the end of that one, Nico Collins, a big body receiver. There's not really a lot of fighting going on for targets in Houston. This team's going to constantly be playing from behind. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens, to see maybe if he gets his chance to get cracked into that offense.
Yeah, I think Nico Collins is wide receiver 1 there for years.
Definitely. There's nothing in Houston.
I seen Mike took Kyle Trask there. And that we talked about this in our roundtable this week, and I said that, Kyle Trask, if I'm in a dynasty league, he is my. It wasn't everybody, but out of those top 5, out of those next 3 guys we talked about, he's like the guy that I think is like the long-term play in a dynasty league. If you're looking for somebody to just kind of take and tuck away for a few years, he could turn into that Jimmy Garoppolo type, where he comes in and he's a starter in an offense eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else you guys want to talk about? Otherwise, I'll just resume.
Kenny Gainwell actually is a really good pickup in Philly. I think he's going to be more of a pass catching threat for Philadelphia right now, which is going to be good in PPR leagues. So that was a really good choice.
Yeah, I like that pick too. I also like the Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep.
That's like what we talked about with Houston. There's nothing there.
Mm-hmm. The rookies in those types of teams, Houston, Jacksonville, Detroit, like the rookies are going to get a pretty good workload early.
Mm-hmm.
Even in New York, I think Elijah Moore is a good pick in the second round, because I think he's gonna. Jamison Crowder is doing a lot of talking right now, so he might end up on the trade block soon. But Elijah Moore is his direct replacement, so that's going to be big.
Yeah, plus, their wide receiver room is kind of crowded right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Crowder has the biggest contract in the room, so to me, it makes sense that maybe they're going to look to shop him if they can't. Maybe they just end up cutting ties with him. I'm not sure how that is with the salary cap right now. I haven't really checked into it. You're the Jets guy.
We have about, I think we've signed most of our rookies, and we have about $22 million left. So getting rid of Crowder, I don't believe in adding by subtraction. You know what I mean? I think you should add talent, not replace talent. But at the same time, that being said, I don't think you should cut a player like Crowder specifically for cap space. That's just dumb in my opinion. He's been the Jets' best receiver for 2 years. And I think that if he can be utilized in a way to shore up another position, like another offensive lineman, I've kind of been in the Jets groups talking about if Jamison Crowder doesn't want to necessarily be here, I heard Ryan Ramczyk in New Orleans is a pretty good right tackle. So, they need a slot guy down in New Orleans. He could be trade value, and I'd be okay with that. But I've never liked getting rid of players just for cap space, especially when you're in the Jets position where they had $80 million of cap space before the draft and before free agency. So we'll see how it shakes out. I think if we keep Jamison Crowder, that's great, but I believe he's only got $1 million of dead money if we traded him. So we would save another $10 million, I believe. So we'll see what happens.
All right, I'll go ahead and resume the draft here, and you're on the clock, Jimmy.
Cool. Well, I have a wide receiver that I like, but he's a little bit – he's not necessarily right there. But there is a running back that I don't believe will last, and I am going to go after Chuba Hubbard in Carolina. I think that he is going to pair really nicely with Christian McCaffrey. And we could kind of see him. We could kind of see him shine in 2021.
Either way, even if he doesn't really see the field that much, he's going to be probably the most valuable handcuff in all of fantasy, just because he's coming from Christian McCaffrey's handcuffs. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like he's going to be a player that's going to be on people's teams regardless. Somebody should have Christian McCaffrey, even if you're not the McCaffrey owner. If Hubbard's still sitting out there at the end of your drafts and redrafts, you need to go out and you need to just put Hubbard on your bench. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw what happened last year with Mike Davis,
and a lot of that too was like because a lot of people thought Bonifant was going to step into that role, and then it ended up turning into Mike Davis at the last second. So there was a lot of confusion there, and some people missed out on the whole Mike Davis thing.
Yeah, he was a real league winner. I like the pick by Bill with Tony getting hit first round receiver in the third round. Can't beat that.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to see how the Giants do this year. Last year was kind of an off year, for everybody, so it's going to be kind of interesting to see what the Daniel Jones, if he can take that step forward this year.
I don't have faith in Daniel Jones. That's why I didn't take Tony in the third.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think Tony's got the talent. Whoever's throwing to him, he's not going to flop.
No.
Especially when Shepard leaves, that room's going to thin out.
Yeah, I don't trust the guy throwing in the football, so I don't see that changing in the near future. So I just like the upside of Chuba Hubbard before Kadarius Toney, and I got my eye on another guy for wide receivers. So
I think this is like the year the Giants are doing everything they can to surround Daniel Jones with talent. If Daniel Jones isn't able to take that leap with this talent around him, and they're all healthy, and there's no excuses there, there's no reason for the Giants to kind of hold on hope for Daniel Jones to take the next step. It's going to kind of become a Mitch Trubisky situation real quick.
Yeah, I could see them if they end 2021 in the top 5 of the 2022 draft, then Giants are probably taking a quarterback.
I opted to go with Brown there. I would have went with Fitzpatrick if Julio Jones didn't go to Tennessee, but I think Brown will get a good amount of opportunities as the third wide receiver there behind Samuel and Scary Terry.
Yeah, I went Tutu Atwell there.
Great pick.
I don't know if he's necessarily gonna, see the field as much this year as he will probably next year. He's got Jackson in his way, Jefferson in his way. So I mean, like I don't know if he gets like necessarily like the much opportunity this year, but with Robert Woods' contract coming up, like maybe next year we could see him step into maybe like a 2 role or a 3 role on that team.
Yeah, that's why I chose Brown over him, because I'm kind of a Van Jefferson guy.
Well, I like anybody that Stafford throws the ball to, honestly, because like people, I don't want to go Megatron, but like there's been a lot of receivers that have shown success, having Stafford throw the ball. So
yeah, the Rams definitely won that trade.
For sure.
They definitely win the trade too if they walk away with the Lombardi.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far. Maybe a little bit of a reach there on that last running back I just took. I took Dokes. It's kind of I'm not sure, but I think it's kind of a crowded backfield there, and
if there's like one spot where like a ambiguous backfield where running back could just come out of nowhere, I feel like it's probably there because I'm not sure if Gaskin necessarily has that job on lock there.
Matt just sniped me. Okay.
I was considering Schwartz.
His speed and route running ability is going to be lethal. He's gonna. That's a good pick in the 4th round. Anthony Schwartz is going to be a good slot guy.
I like that Dwayne Eskridge pick in the 3rd round. I'm a
Yeah.
big Eskridge guy. I wrote an article on him back in the winter. I wasn't thinking he was going to go that high, but with Wilson's arm, I think that's an ideal landing spot, especially with the draft capital they put into him. I think he's going to be a great deep ball threat. I mean, David Moore got 6 touchdowns last year. I think he could step right into that role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eskridge in Seattle it can be really good. Again, it just is one of those. I get really nervous. I get really nervous about quarterbacks that want out of their current situation. You know what I mean? Like Aaron Rodgers scares me. Russell Wilson scares me. Stuff like that. And it may iron itself out before the season, but it's just a situation where I just don't know. And
I think Wilson's content for now. I heard reports that he was, very pleased with their draft.
they didn't get an offensive lineman, though.
I know.
They haven't had an offensive lineman since like 2011.
That's where I'd be mad. But, I mean, so I got sniped. I wanted Anthony Schwartz. I loved him. But another one of my guys who I think is going to be really good in Denver, I'm going to grab Seth Williams because I think he has a lot of upside in Denver, and being a rookie in that wide receiver room, I think he's gonna turn into one of the top guys very shortly, very very soon. So.
All right. We had Chris Evans go last.
That's pretty good, Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah, I've heard. I've seen Chris Evans like go undrafted quite a bit, and he's like someone you probably should pick up because he is a talented back, but I mean, like he kind of lost his job at Michigan, and like his starting opportunities have been limited there, but I feel like the talent's there, and if he could be one of those running backs that come out of nowhere, especially if there was an injury to Joe Mixon.
Yeah, and even if there's not, I mean, with Giovanni Bernard in Tampa, I think there's definitely that change of pace back role. They
have P. Ryan there, but he hasn't been, doesn't really. He hasn't proved to be anything special. He wasn't anything special in Washington either. There are people that had kind of a little bit of hype around him coming out, but he hasn't been anything in the NFL. All right. Anything else you guys want to cover on this draft? Otherwise, we can get just started on the questions this week.
No, I don't really see any pick that is super questionable. I think it was fairly solid. Yeah, looks pretty good. I think everybody did a pretty good job.
Yeah, it was a really solid draft.
I'm concerned at some of the quarterbacks that went in the second round with some of the guys that didn't even take a quarterback in the top 4. You know, like those Mac Jones, Trey Lance, Kyle Trask, like those guys available in the second round, and no quarterbacks taken from 1, 2, 3, 4 teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's a little questionable, in my opinion. But
I mean,
rookies only. I get it.
Yeah, Kate got 3 wide receivers. That's what you're normally going to have the most of.
Mm-hmm.
Going into a rookie draft, you're probably not going to be desperate for receiver. We did get ETN, which that's a really good pick at the 6th pick. But coming away with just one running back, no quarterbacks, is probably not going to be ideal for any team.
And every other week, you'll have one of those guys kind of pop off. I think, I wouldn't bank on it happening every week, but having them in the starting lineup, you'll probably see 1 or 2 of them do pretty well.
And Eskridge was a steal at that spot, the 3-6.
For sure.
Yeah, I was pretty upset in our one draft that we did with the TSF guys. I kept trying to move back in, and then he finally got taken. And one wait to get back in, but I kept one Eskridge, and at the end, like he kept falling down in the 3rd round, and I think he went at the 4th round, and I was really upset that no one was trade up, and I offered like 2 future thirds to go into the beginning of the 4th just to grab Eskridge because I think the upside's there. So.
Yeah, I really like the Hawkins pick at the 3-8 too, especially with Julio gone. And that's great value there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys have kind of stepping into?
You got to pass.
Well, I guess
there.
their third wide receiver role. I mean, that's kind of wide open. I mean, I've heard Gage mentioned, but I don't think that there's really anything there other than like a DFS play. Maybe I wouldn't feel good about starting Gage in any given week like I was last year.
Actually, one of my answers to one of the mailbag questions involves this very thing. So
I don't want to spoil it, so we can get onto that.
Yeah, I think that Hawkins and the tight ends Hurst and Pitts are going to take the majority of the work.
Sure.
And then Gage and Zacchaeus will probably try to fill in for that 3rd spot. But I think there's going to be a lot of 2 receiver sets there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like they weren't they shopping Hurst before?
I think
so. Maybe they're just gonna. So maybe with Julio gone now, maybe they're just gonna kind of move him into that full-time blocking tight end, and maybe just kind of let Pitts roam around, maybe play a little bit of slot. So
I would think so.
I could see them retaining him now. Yeah.
Definitely. I think all talks for Hurst going somewhere else are gone at this point.
Yeah, I think the trade after today just pretty much solidified that.
Yeah.
All right. Stop sharing screen. All right. Yeah, so we'll get off to the mailbag here. Our first question from Richard in Florida. What 2020 studs are you avoiding in 2021?
You guys go right ahead.
You can start us off, Travis.
So, surprisingly, one of the studs I'm avoiding at their current ADP is going to be Saquon Barkley. And I'm going to tell you guys why here in a second. It's because, on the injury history, which typically I don't worry about it, but he hasn't finished the season in the last 2 years. Number 2 is Daniel Jones. Number 3 is Daniel Jones giving him looks. Now, if you actually sit here and you watch Giants games, Daniel Jones is always looking downfield for that big play. He's never looking to check down to Saquon Barkley like Eli Manning was. There's no way Saquon's going to see that 10 to 15 targets a game like he was seeing sometimes with Eli.
Yeah.
If anything, it's going to be like design plays. Honestly, I'm moving Saquon further and further down my list where a lot of people have him at 2. I'm kind of getting into that 6 to 7 range, so I just don't think I'll really have many shares of Saquon this year.
We can see that.
Yeah, I completely agree with Barkley. That was very well put. I would go with Derrick Henry though. I mean,
really?
He can't keep up what he's been doing. Like over 2,000 rushing yards, so many touchdowns, and he wasn't even a top 2 back. Like he just doesn't have that receiving workload. I think that they're going to get Evans more involved there. They're going to be more of a passing offense with Julio now. I think that Henry's going to regress quite a bit. I could see him outside of the top 10 this year in PPR formats.
Yeah, that's fair. Mine is Calvin Ridley from Atlanta. I think with Julio gone, I think Calvin Ridley is going to take over that number 1 role, and I haven't seen him take on not this isn't a knock on Calvin Ridley by any means, but he's just never been in that position to be the premier guy on the team. And I think he's been targeted quite a bit because Julio's been on the team. So maybe 2021 is a year that I kind of set Calvin Ridley aside for the year and just see how he handles it. 2022's possibility that I would take him eventually, see how he does. Maybe I draft Calvin Ridley in a dynasty format, kind of mid to late rounds, just to have him on the bench, just to kind of have him on the team to see what he does. But Calvin Ridley he's the guy that I'm going to avoid. There's just not enough tape on him being the number 1 guy.
Well, especially too, his ADP is going to go through the roof now.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I think I don't know, what is he going to be, like probably the 5th wide receiver, right? I think probably after Hill, Diggs, Hopkins, Adams, then you could kind of start thinking about where Calvin
5 to 7.
Yeah, somewhere in there. The thing is though about Calvin Ridley is I don't have it right in front of me here, but the thing is about Calvin Ridley, if you look at the game splits from last year where Julio Jones was out for the games, go ahead and look back on that and then tell me something different, because in those games that Julio was out and Calvin Ridley was playing, his game splits were, he was still putting up, I think it was like wide receiver 4, wide receiver 3 numbers on the games that Julio was out. Honestly, we'll have to see what Pitts can bring. Everything about a rookie is unproven until they actually see the field.
Sure.
But yeah, like Calvin Ridley though, he probably isn't someone I'll necessarily be shying away from.
But he's not someone you're going to be targeting.
Sure.
Yeah, like you're saying, I'm not going to be. He's not going to be someone I'm going to be like for in a draft to get. I'm not going to draft them over any of those other 4 guys that I mentioned before. Give me a second. You guys can go ahead and talk.
All right, well, we'll get to question 2 from Kirk in North Carolina. How much faith can you put into a running back in an air raid offense like Mike Davis in down and goal situations? So he's meaning like how much faith can you put into a guy like that where he's going to be primarily a goal line back? They don't run the ball, overly a lot. I think that with Julio gone, his value goes up definitely quite a bit. Like I was saying with Hawkins, they're going to, be cutting into Julio's target. So I would say that, this question was before Julio left, but you don't want to target them as like a workhorse back. Even if there's not much behind him, he's not going to get, 20 touches.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be, primarily a goal line back. I wouldn't put too much draft capital into a guy like that.
I guess it just depends on how an air raid team utilizes the running backs. Are they spreading them out? Are they keeping the running backs back for extra protection? Are they motioning them out for slot guys? It just kind of depends. I think that in a Matt Ryan example, I feel like they would want to keep a running back for extra protection because of his age.
Mm-hmm.
So that probably loses a little bit of value. But if you're thinking across the NFL, obviously Davis was used as the example, but if you're looking at an air raid style of offense somewhere else where you see the running backs being motioned out or you see them being utilized in the passing game, then I mean it's just kind of hit or miss. It just depends on the squad. It depends on the coach.
Mm-hmm. You there, Travis?
So I'll put it like this with Mike Davis, just in specific. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll put it like this with Mike Davis. Just to be specific with him, he's going to be a running back. He's not going to lose you a league, but he's not going to win you a league. He's just going to be kind of one of those middling running back 2 to 3s. But like specifically saying in an air raid offense, so I'm guessing we're talking about the Arizona Cardinals because that's what everybody kind of goes to there. So we're probably talking about James Conner or Chase Edmonds. I think Chase Edmonds fits this offense a little bit better. I feel like Conner could struggle. So one of the bases for an air raid offense is, from my understanding, is that what they do is basically they don't utilize their tight end positions to block. So that doesn't create a lot of holes up front for running backs, especially ones that are going to run straight ahead through the line, So like a lot of them have to be kind of maneuvered around or out in the open to kind of see like their passing volume. So like what you've seen with Kenyon Drake in years prior, or what you've seen with Chase Edmonds. Now, I know you're going to say like David Johnson. And yes, David Johnson was getting passes when he was in that offense. But like one of the things that made him overly great is he could catch and run in that offense. And once they took away those tight ends from him, it destroyed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm staying far away from Conner.
Yeah,
I will not touch Conner at all. But to our next question, we have the Big Baller. I'm guessing that's how the Big Baller on Instagram. Is Irv Smith a tight end 1 for this year?
I would say yes, borderline tight end 1. I would have him around 10 to 14. I think he really turned it on late last year. I think he's going to get a lot of looks this year.
Yeah, I actually agree. If you look at the targets from 2019 to 2020, his targets are actually trending down. So are his receptions, but yardage and yards per reception were trending up. So with Rudolph gone in Minnesota, I think this is the guy. He's going to be a safety valve for Kirk Cousins. But I think tight end 1 on a fantasy team might be pushing it, but if you're looking for a tight end that you can probably get in the mid to late rounds, he'll get you some points.
Yeah, he's got the upside.
Yeah. To me is like if you're going 0 tight end and you're not drafting until that very the 13th round and you're picking up your tight end, I feel like Irv Smith's like the perfect guy for that kind of strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at what the tight ends actually came up with catches, yards, and touchdowns last year, between Smith, between Conklin, between Rudolph, they had tight end 1 numbers between them 3. So if Irv Smith coming into that so coveted third year as a tight end that they call it. If he was to receive the majority, like let's say if he's to receive like 70% of that, that easily should put him up there in that tight end 12 to 13 range. So like he's definitely a guy that I would look for at the end of drafts and a guy that I'd be willing to stream. Yeah.
I just don't trust Cousins. It like a lot of it comes down to quarterback for me, and I don't trust the guy.
I mean, Cousins has been really solid as of late. He's been a fantasy quarterback 1 for 5 of the last 6 seasons.
Yeah, but I hate him. So.
I think everybody hates him because he's not that. He is your like old school prototypical quarterback, but he's like not that new school breed where everybody loves to have that little rushing quarterback on their team.
I hate him because he used my team to up the offer from Minnesota.
So it's personal.
But very personal. I admit that one. It's very personal. F that guy, man.
All right. Yeah, from Pat. He wants to know who he should take at the 110, Waddle or Devonta Smith for my dynasty league.
That's a tough one.
Not really. Devonta Smith.
Yeah, I would go for Smith. I think I like Waddle as a receiver more, but for fantasy, you got to go for Smith. There's going to be way more opportunities there in Philly. I mean, it's actually pretty crowded in Miami now. I mean, I'm a Parker guy too. I mean, I know a lot of people aren't, but I mean, he was like a receiver 1 for fantasy just 2 years ago.
For me, it's Waddle's injuries. He's got the ankle stuff, and that scares me because they put him right back in when he was in the playoffs, the BCS playoffs, and he re-aggravated that injury. I think against Clemson again. But he re-aggravated that high ankle injury, and I don't like that. Like for a wide receiver, my biggest things are route running. You need to have that one cut and go. And if you have an ankle injury that's been nagging, and then you re-aggravate it, and then you sit for a bit, and then you re-aggravate it again, that's some scary stuff, man. That like he can get over it, especially like with new age medicine and stuff like that. But Devonta Smith doesn't have any of that, and Devonta Smith's going to have the more opportunities without the injury history. So Waddle moves down my list from that.
So here I've been on both sides of it, and I've been around this position like 109, 110, where I've taken one of each in two separate drafts. The one draft I took Waddle because I had a solid team already put together. I didn't feel like I needed to like risk anything at that pick, so I don't think it was really that much of a risk to take Waddle for a long-term play. I feel like longer term he could be the better option. Because when he was on the field, he did get the majority of the looks, and he was like the best wide receiver on that team during that time. And on the other hand, when I took Smith at that same price range, my team I took over team. It was an orphan team, a rebuild team. Somebody asked me to come in and they're like, oh, we'll pay your league fee for this year, come in and rebuild this team. So basically I think I've talked about it before, but I traded CMC and I got 2 first rounds and Cam Akers, and I traded Cam Akers and I got a buttload of more picks. But I took Smith with one of my picks on this rebuild team because I feel like the upside play is with Smith. I feel like if you're in a kind of a rebuild, I feel like Smith is the guy you should be going after because he could probably give you the biggest upside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the sky's the limit for him.
Definitely.
All right. We got Billy the Kid 92 on Instagram. Who's the better dynasty option out of Tampa Bay's Tyler Johnson or Jalen Darden?
You can take this one, Jimmy.
Jalen Darden had an insane 2020 college year. Insane. He, looking at the numbers, in 9 games, he had 74 receptions, almost 1,200 yards, average of 16.1 yards per reception, 19 touchdowns.
Wow.
The kid was insane at North Texas. Now, talk about competition all you want in Conference USA. I don't even want to hear any of that stuff. The kid was insane. We all know how Tom Brady – Zach, you can talk about this more than anything. Tom Brady likes the people he's comfortable with, you know? Mm-hmm. So the rookies, they better show up in camp, and they better do their job. But see, Tyler Johnson, though, here's the thing. Last year, he was only targeted 17 times with 12 receptions, 169 yards, a couple, pair of touchdowns. If it comes in, if it goes to camp, and if Darden shines in camp, Brady will love him. And if Brady loves the guy, Brady will throw to the guy, period. And you're gonna make me say this. If Tom Brady is going to throw to you, you're going to get the numbers.
Scotty Miller got he had some
Scotty Miller
here, and he's a nobody. But I would go with Darden too. I think that he's got the potential. Johnson, nothing against him, but we just didn't see much from him. It's was that his shot? I think that was with Brady. That was with Brady throwing him the ball. So I feel like if Brady liked him, they would have been targeted a lot more. Game plan aside, Bruce Arians already said that he just lets Tom Brady do whatever he wants as far as the game plan goes. So if Johnson wasn't getting the touches last year with Brady essentially calling the shots on offense, it's probably not going to happen this year either. So Darden has a much better option.
So one of the things is about Tyler Johnson too is his lack of being able to contribute in other ways on this team, and special teams is really hurt Johnson, and he honestly could be a cut candidate for this team. Coming out of training camp, or coming into the preseason. I've also heard that Darden. I heard that he was handpicked by Tom Brady for this draft, and that Tom Brady wanted him on the team. Yes, so let's stack up for Darden there.
Oh, definitely.
There are a lot of guys to get through. He's going to be a player that's going to be in development for this team, but he will get his opportunities, and he might be able to be a player that can contribute in special teams even.
Mm-hmm.
We got from Justin in Nevada. If you plan to go 0 RB early in the draft, who are some running backs you target in the middle rounds?
Well, I would go for the San Francisco backs. I know a lot of people don't like going for committee and stuff like that, but for 0 running back strategy, you got to take the upside, and getting Raheem Mostert or Trey Sermon, I think that could be great value in those middle rounds. Also, a Myles Gaskin from Miami, he averaged over 16 points a game last year, and I think 10 to 12 games. That's running back one numbers. If he could do that again, that could be a real league winner right there. I don't think he will, but even if he's getting over 10 a game, that's great value for a mid-round pick.
I like, again, Zach, this isn't a homer pick, but
yes, it is.
Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman is, word out of the Jets camp is Tevin Coleman is going to be essentially used as an additional slot guy out of the backfield in the Jets' new wide zone running scheme. And so I think you're going to see Tevin Coleman as more of a slot guy, and then you're going to see probably a Ty Johnson, Michael Carter in the backfield in New York. So for a rookie, I like Michael Carter. Javonte Williams, I don't even think he's going to be available in mid rounds. But if you're looking at a mid rounds of Michael Carter out of that North Carolina running attack that they had last year, he's going to be great. But check out Tevin Coleman because in PPR leagues, he's gonna get you some points.
Yeah, so a couple players I like in that I think these guys are going probably like 8th round, 7th, 8th round, maybe even later. Zach Moss, the team drafted him last year in the 2nd round. They had a plan for him to be the starting running back, and they tried to get him those touches towards the middle of the season before he went down with that injury. So he's like one guy that I would definitely target in the middle rounds. And then also Damian Harris is another guy that I would target too because he should get the majority of the volume. He's probably not going to get you the most goal line touches, but he's going to get at least a solid floor for you every week.
Yeah, I was going to go with Damian Williams, but I was afraid to after ragging on Jimmy for his homer picks.
Man, come on, man.
Well, and then also, I'll be a homer for Jimmy over here too. MCW though too, like Michael Carter Williams, he's going to be a pass catching back, and he could be a player that you can get, that I think probably 10th or 11th round range. I think that's where he's going right now, and I think he could be really a player that really can go to the moon this year. So,
coaching, man.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the Jets. I just want to say that I'm glad we have you on here tonight. I've been hyping up the Jets ever since the draft. I really love what they did. I love their coaching hire. I love their draft. I just love what this team's starting to build. To me, it feels like an organic growth, and it feels like the Jets ain't cutting. They're not trying to cut through anything. They're not trying to cut through the bullshit. And this is like the Jets aren't doing Jets things, and it just seems weird to me.
That I've been telling people for the last 3 months, ever since the Saleh hire. I said this is not the same old Jets. And people that are like, oh, well, this player's not going to do this, that player's not going to do that. I'm like, your uniform doesn't matter. It's coaching. And with the Saleh hire, the actual biggest thing, the biggest benefit to the Jets this year was the Johnsons, the owners, coming down and saying, Joe Douglas is handling football operations. Saleh, you report to Joe Douglas. Joe Douglas, you report to us, period. They changed that structure. No more of this even keel nonsense with the coach and the GM reporting to the owners individually. That was a 5-year experiment that didn't work, and it's held us back for a half a decade, and it's finally gone. So that's been the biggest thing is the actual power structure in the organization. So we're finally where the real NFL teams are going, man. And I couldn't be excited this year. It just feels different. It feels different.
I'm glad we have you on here too, Jimmy. But I'm not excited for the Jets. Not one bit.
I wouldn't expect you to be with all that nonsense in the background over there, man.
All right, I think we're going to cut it off there. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm good. Jimmy, do you want to plug your social media?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can find me. I write. I haven't been. I'm going to get back to it now that I'm settled in the new house, but I'm going to get more articles out for Truth Serum Football. I can't thank you guys enough for the opportunity to write for you guys. I love doing it. But I also have – yeah, I also have my own YouTube channel at Jets by Jimmy. You can everything my social media you can find at Jets by Jimmy, whether it's my Facebook page, whether it's my Twitter, whether it's my Instagram, the YouTube channel. So yeah, we're over 300 subscribers on the YouTube channel. We're pushing towards the 400 and 500 mark. The goal is 1,000 because once we get to 1,000 and 4,000 watch hours for the year, then we get monetized. So we're working towards it. But yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. I love talking football regardless of what your team is, man. regardless of what team. I've had you on, Zach. I've had you on. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a great time. Yeah, he talks more than just Jets, believe it or not.
I do.
All right. So you want to take us out, Zach?
Yep. Thanks for watching, everyone. We're going to be back Sunday night with another mock. It's going to be a non-rookie mock. I'm not sure. We're going to do redraft or a full dynasty startup. But if you want to be on that, hit up Travis. I'm not going to be here, but thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
And as always,
go Jets.
stay true.
Stay true. Oh.